5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're live.
You are the only participant in the conference.
All right, they're getting in here, Campbell. I'd like to welcome everyone to HBCU Coaches Corner. I'm your host, Rocky Miller, along with my co-host, the Rattler himself, the Bishop, Mr. Stephen Campbell. We had a very interesting weekend, Mr. Campbell. Let's just say some dreams were crushed, some hope continued to, there are fan bases that continue to believe, and there are others making their Thanksgiving plans, understanding that they will be home for Christmas and after Thanksgiving. This is kind of a strange place for you, Mr. Campbell. You've been part of the Rattler Nation, which for the last few years was in it to win it down the stretch. Even if you weren't winning it, you were in the thick of it. This year, Mr. Campbell, I'm not sure what you're in, but it's not what you've accustomed to, man. How does this feel right now as a Rattler fan, just winding down the season, realizing that all hope is lost?
Hey, man, listen, we haven't been able to do a crime report. What I did, we still have our agents out there. And, we have the CSI crew. And I had to send them specifically down to Tallahassee, down on the field, Rocky, because I said something's going on. There are no snakes in the end zone. I need to know. We used to have 30, 40, 50 snakes a game in the end zone. And he said, I got a report, and I can report it right here now. James Coles has pulled a snake away in the end zone that has prevented snakes from going into the end zone. So we got to fix that, man. We got to fix that right there, man. You know what I'm saying? We got to fix that, man. And we got people coming in there, man. It was so bad, man. And people catch me tomorrow with Mike, man. The M-Bar opened up a pop-up shop. How many wings we was giving out down there in Tallahassee, boy. That's how bad it was, man. Now, it was a pop-up shop.
So because I've been through to Bragg Memorial Stadium and seen what all that it has to offer, on a scale of 1 to 10, what was the atmosphere like as far as, game day atmosphere?
Man, the great thing about it, and I said this, shout out to the ONG Strikes. I did a Monday review, man. I'm going to say this is why I've always said FAMU should have been the SWAC. I know what Jack State's going to bring. And shout out to my homeboy, Ashley Robinson, because I knew that he was bringing the boom. Our AD asked him. He made sure it made it happen because we wanted that SWAC big game atmosphere. And, listen, the crowd was down there. A lot of people in Jackson, that didn't go to Vegas. They came down to support their Tigers, man. It was a night game. The Marching 100 was ready to roll. The Sonic Boom was ready. The J-Sets. The atmosphere was there. Club Bragg, good crowd. Even though I thought we would have had more, but that had a lot to do with Florida State's homecoming. The rooms were really high, unfortunately, this time of the year. So we probably would have had more people there. But, man, the atmosphere was ready to go, man. It was really exciting. A lot of my home folks was there, you know what I mean? So, man, you know, it was just great, man. So, you know, I hated that on our end, we did not deliver like the game was last year. I didn't mind, you know, the game went down to the wire last year. I would have hoped it would have done this year. But you know what? Jack State came down and took care of their business, man. They took care of their business.
Hey, I hate that this is a thing, right? they counting down to the moment that I'm gonna get messy or cause trouble, man. I don't understand why that's a thing, and I would, and that is the sentiment of many of our followers that come in the HBCU Coaches Corner, that they feel that I'm being mad. I just have those questions and those concerns that make you say, Again, some would say just by mentioning the Rattlers and their strife that they're dealing with this year, that's even messy. But I think it's a fair concern because this, in my opinion, okay, me and you took a couple 6-hour drives, and you were telling me about the drive, you were telling me about the history of FAMU, that you guys did have some down periods in your history. And I just couldn't imagine what I had watched under the helm of Willie Simmons was an abundance of talent, which was very, very clever play calling and a suffocating defense for really 3 straight years at the time. So I couldn't imagine Florida State having this kind of dip.
FAMU.
I'm sorry. FAMU having this kind of dip. I just couldn't imagine it. That's what I'm going to get to. In your wildest dreams, 2 years post Willie Simmons, could you have imagined this could have happened?
No, because in the end, and I will say this, the thing that is, when you looked at last year, you saw the talent, you thought, you know, the coaching was not up to the level, and you figured, hey, you know, first year coach, getting out the kinks, get your people in place, and then come in next year, you know, they say, hey, we got guys that we feel really good about, we got faster, the offensive line is going to be better, we got people that have come back, and, you know, so you had hope. But, man, listen, that first game down in Miami was a harbinger to what was going to happen. And I tell you that it was so funny. I told those guys there.
That's an SAT word.
But, hey, how about that? You know, and I told the guys on the ONG Strike Zone last night when we had did a prediction, right? Prediction show. So we know coaches watch the show. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't want to be the FAMU Debbie Downer, right? Because I had kind of heard some things that we weren't clicking, because especially on the quarterback. I heard the quarterback was not clicking at all, right? Before the season, you know, because we were supposed to get this other guy that was an all-conference D1 guy, you know what I mean? And that fell through. So when I looked at our schedule,
you got the year before,
like
you had got the year before,
right? Yeah, exactly. So if we had got that guy, he because again he was the all-conference at D1 level, so he probably would have came in and been the best quarterback in the SWAC because of the play at a high level. That's what would, you know, least would have gave us that, right? I looked at our schedule. And I knew that those games that we lost, we were going to lose those games. Not the Howard game, but the 3 home games. There was no doubt in my mind, because after that Howard game, I said there's no way. Because I knew what Alabama State had. I knew what Jack State had. And I know Trey Oliver. You see what I'm saying? So when you know what it is can you do it? And then when you play Howard, you don't see any, you know, the thing with Jet Petty, he's not playing. And then you play that, because we played Central first, right? Yeah, we play Alabama State first, then Central. So when Alabama State comes down there and it's just no resistance, then you go and then you play Central, and then you barely beat Alcorn, you barely beat a bad Alcorn team. And I'll tell people this, and I talked about this, and we're going to talk about this because my Jack State people understand it. That kid Lockhart goes to be special, man. That kid Lockhart is going to be special. And I'm going to tell you this, and this is for the old school JSU, not for the, because they ain't going to even know because they weren't born. That kid going to be the next Shannon Boyd. That boy might not lose a conference game. Well, might not, put it like this. They lost a conference game, but he didn't quarterback. But him quarterback, they might not lose a conference game next 3 years with that boy quarterback. like Shannon Boyd. They are right there. So everybody that's trying to get there, they better get it together next year. Because with Shannon Boyd, what was so great about he had the running attack, he had the Lewis Tillmans, he had my boy that played Tim Barnett, the Houston Hoop, these guys, the Derek Carr, they had super talent around Shannon. But what Shannon always did in those big games, when he needed to make a big throw, he made a big throw. He needed to make a big run, he made a big run. So he never had the flashy stats of a Superman Ken or nobody like that, but he had the best record out of all of them. Because when it was a big game, Shannon Boyd was going to make sure they won the game. So that's the thing about it. With this kid here, I can see he's going, just his mentality and just kind of watching him and where his teammates are, he's already a leader. You can just tell. I saw Rempert get in his behind a little bit, which was good. Probably more of a senior leadership moment. Hey, you need to do this. You need to coach him up. But like I say, man, we better get it together. Seriously. The whole SWAC better get it together. Or it could be a funny thing down there on 1400 Lynch.
Well, since you already kind of got into that question I mentioned Lockhart, I'll ask you straight up. When Jacobian Morgan went down against Grambling, I can be honestly say that I didn't think it was in that game. I didn't think that it would lead to what eventually happened, right?
Right.
We'll save the Jackson State faithful the pain and misery of, mentioning what happened, but I didn't think what would happen. They brought in Stouffer, didn't work out. Brought in Lockhart, was able to right the ship and gain the lead, but eventually they would come up just a little short with a miraculous kick by the kicker and some heroic play by a true freshman. My question to you is, coming out of that game, my concern was, could Jackson State repeat with a backup quarterback? And so that's where, with you laying eyes on the quarterback live and seeing the team, can Jackson State repeat as not only SWAC champions, but Black national champions with a backup quarterback?
Well, here's the thing. The defense is good enough to win a championship. The offensive running attack is already at a championship level. You got the playmakers on the outside. So again, the thing that, they're not going to lose another game. And like I said, that Bethune game is going to be interesting. I think it'll be interesting all the way to the third quarter. And I think Bethune, they just don't have the defense to hold up against that running attack. I think they'll be able to score. So Jack State, like I say, it's simple. To beat this Jack State in this TC iteration, it's about getting them to turn the ball over and getting it where that game gets funky. That's the two. Grambling's really good at that. That's why they beat them 2 years in a row. They've gotten those turnovers. They got in the game to get kind of crazy, and they're hanging there. I don't know if Bethune could do that. They can score, but I don't think they're going to. Now, on the flip side, when they play the teams from the MEAC, they're going to go against some well-coached teams. But what I have yet to see, if you look at the three favorites, Delaware State, North Carolina Central, South Carolina State, I don't think South Carolina State has the defense that they've had normally, right? So that kind of works against it. I think they're still, and even with their quarterback offense, I think that's shaky. Delaware State has the offense because they can run the ball, right? Shorten the game, but their defense can't hold up against Jack State. So the only team that would have both sides, and they're weak at the defensive back position, but they got a great quarterback and they got a great running attack, would be North Carolina Central. That would be the matchup I would want to see what Trey Oliver would do. And mind you, Lockhart, let's see. So what they got? 4 more games left? Is that right? 3 more games? So he would play, huh?
Yeah, Lockhart, they have 3 more games and the SWAC championship.
So he's going to play 4 games, and the 5th game will be the SWAC championship. That's half of a season right there that he's going to play and be comfortable and know the offense. So that's the thing about it. So he's not going to come in there bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, like, for the lack of a better term, coming in to brag and stuff like that. He's going to matriculate and know the offense and be very comfortable by the time the Celebration Bowl rolls around. So I don't think anybody. I don't want to hear people say, "Well, he's a freshman and he hasn't played." No, he would have played. And the thing about it, he's got big games. See, every game in Jackson State counts. They got to win them. So every game he plays in from here on out is a big game. Can't lose to Alcorn because of Alcorn, and they got to win because Alabama State is on their heels. Can't lose to Bethune because Bethune-Cookman is on their heels.
Well, let me say this. There have been a lot of backup quarterbacks come in and help out championship teams for 1 or 2 games. There are a lot less instances of quarterbacks coming in and taking over a team and then running them to the championship. The only one I can think of in my mind is Jeff Hostetler when Phil Simms went down in 1990 in probably the second, third of the season, and Hostetler led them all the way to a championship through the playoffs. I don't remember many other circumstances in football, period, where the backup quarterback has come in and then led the team to a championship. Yes, Tom Brady, you're correct with Tom Brady. He kind of took over at the beginning of the season. That's the beginning of the season. And matter of fact, and took Nick Foles. Thank you. That's another instance of where that happened. So that's why I was kind of figure out how often does this happen? Because usually what happens is I've seen it where more likely where backup quarterbacks play 1 or 2 good games, they get film on them, and then their effectiveness kind of dwindles or fizzles out. I'm going to put the call lines up, and anybody can call in. I don't care where you're from. And tell me why Jackson State can win a championship with a backup quarterback, or if you want to make an argument why they can't win a championship with a backup quarterback.
Well,
because,
go ahead. Finish your thought because I want to go ahead.
Because and the next thing I was going to give you a chance to show me where this has happened in the SWAC or in college football recently, because that's where we are.
Well, let me tell you something. Well, I think you got to be careful with the term backup quarterback, right? This kid is going to be a future starter. There's a difference between a backup quarterback that doesn't have the ability to be a starter, right? Compared to a person that has the ability to be a starter. He's the backup because they got an all-conference player that was in front of him. That's why he's the backup, not because of his talent. Because his talent, quiet as kept. If Lockhart was at FAMU, he start. If Lockhart was at several other schools, Lockhart was probably starting down at Prairie View. Lockhart was starting at Texas Southern. So that's what I'm saying. He has a starter build. And I'll tell you this, and I'll give you this on the college level, who had a confident quarterback, seasoned quarterback, but had a talented guy, more talented guy behind him, is when Clemson went all the way with Trevor Lawrence.
And as I think about it, I'm thinking about 12 gauge as well for Ohio State. He relieved, I believe it was Barrett. He came in for R.J. Barrett, and 12 gauge Cardale Jones came in.
And that was during the playoffs.
Yes, that was during the playoffs. Yes. So, hey, caller, with the last 4, 9868, you're live on HBCU Coaches Corner with Steve and Rocky.
Yo, what up, fellas?
Hey, what's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm good. This is Calvin.
Go ahead, Calvin.
Calling from the Jacktown. What Lockhart has is the best advantage. He has the running game for Jackson State. I don't think Jackson State has had less than 200 yards rushing all year long, or somewhere close to it. So he's not an idiot. Just keep running the ball. Don't have Lockhart do too much out of himself, and then it has a good defense. So could he win it? Yes, but you got to simplify some things. You know, I don't think he needs to be throwing about 30 passes. If he can keep them around the 10, 15 range and just run the ball if you can, because who else is going to stop us from not running the ball in the SWAC at least?
And that's the thing.
What I got to say.
You know, I agree with you. I don't think anybody can stop you guys from running the ball. but there are several scenarios where you guys could end up down 2 scores where you would have to throw the ball. And in that situation, you wouldn't have the luxury of being able to turn around and hand the ball off to you. In that situation, I think you guys would be way more comfortable with Jacobian Morgan at quarterback. Could you be confident with a true freshman back there if you happen to be down a touchdown with 5-6 minutes left to go?
That's a position that I don't want to be in for true freshmen, to be honest with you. But things happen in football. You got to come up, people run the first team, you got to get out early and keep it. You can make those throws, if you can make them a throwable ball, like a 5-yard and under, make a dunk, something to get his confidence up the first couple of throws. But if you're running the ball like we did against FAMU on Saturday, that play action game is going to be wide open. That safety is going to have to bite. That slant and go sluggo is going to be open.
And he's going to have to get. Now, I didn't watch the game, guys. I did see him in Grambling, and in the game where I think he kind of struggled passing the ball in a critical moment, he was able to hit a strike to Rembert late in the game. Were there any plays in the game this weekend where they had to have it and he was able to come through?
No, not at all.
We had to have it.
Yeah. Was there any had to have it moments?
No, sir. No, listen, no. They took care of that.
Defense been all the way over.
Yeah, no, they took care of that at the end of the second quarter and the beginning of the third quarter. That game was over right there. That boy was on cruise control on that. Hell, Stover could have came in there and won that game after that.
Yeah. So and that's what I'm telling you. That's when a guy like Jacobian Morgan is important to have him on the team, is because he's had a history at those had to have it moments. He's come up with it. I have to admit this as being a guy that has said many times that Jacobian Morgan is a trailer rather than a truck. But I've seen him come through in several instances where Jackson State had to have it. He came through with the big throw or the big run. And so my question is, can this freshman do it? And it looks like the Jackson State faithful believe he can. Hey, man, Calvin, thanks for calling. You got anything else before we drop?
Well, one thing, Southern, y'all still suck. I hope y'all don't win another game. All right, I'll let y'all.
Oh, man.
Now, listen, I'm going to tell you this. Now, this is what's so crazy. When you sit back and, we're going to go, guys, we're going to kind of free flow. We're going to have a big guest on. We almost had a big guest just tonight, but the coach had, he's working on some things, but we have a big guest. So we kind of free flowing. So, we're going to go every which way. But he went to Southern. And let me just tell you like this. I have been around a long time, and I have seen some bad Southern teams. And I remember in the 80s, that's when Southern really got known as a bad school in the 80s, because they wasn't winning nothing. But this right here, to lose to UAPB, man, that is something right there. And looking at their schedule, because this was, to me, the only other game that they could have won. They might only have one win this whole season. And they were predicted to win the West.
Yeah. This may be the only season where two coaches get fired in the same year. Hey, we got a caller from the same team. We got a caller with the last 46422. You live on HBCU Coaches Corner with Stephen Rocky. What's your name and where you calling from?
What's going on, Rocky? What's going on, Mr. Campbell? This is J Love. I'm calling from Dallas. How y'all doing?
Hey, what up, J Love? What you got for us?
So I kind of want to chime in on the statement you made about, can Lockhart get us to a Black National Championship, or can he win a Black National Championship? And I think it boils down to 3 key components. And I've been thinking about this, since Morgan went down. Number one is what Mr. Campbell said is very, very true. He had 4 games. He got 4 games to play. So he played well. He made freshman mistakes at FAMU. We had that fumble right there in the red zone. I know we all seen that. and then he missed Dupree running down the field with nobody around him. He just completely overthrew that pass. That was one big mistake. And then I want to say another one he did. He threw in double coverage against FAMU safeties, and they just did not they just didn't pick the ball. I still don't understand how they didn't catch that ball. So he's making freshman mistakes, but after 4 games, you kind of that's a long time. 4 games is a lot of football. It's still a lot of football left to be played. And these are must wins for us. We can't drop a game. So he knows he got to come out and be playing at his very best and making sure that he's making IQ throws and passes. That's number one thing. It ain't like we got the season a wrap. He can go out and he's got to play his best football. So that's number one. Number two, I think the biggest thing, the second big, it's going to be coaching. TC and Quinn are going to have to do their best coaching in these last 3 games because, number one, the defense, we got to be able to keep teams close. In that FAMU game, the offense really wasn't clicking in the first half. Well, we went into the first half. What was it, 3-3 or 3-10, something like that?
3-10, and it should have been. And this, I'm not being disrespectful, but I'm just being to your point. It should have been 3-3 going into the half. It really should have been. To your point,
it should have. Yeah, it should have.
Just the way the game was playing out.
Exactly. It should have been 3-3, but we were fortunate enough to get that score right there before the half, which was big for us because it really boosted the morale of the offense. But the defense is going to have to keep the games close. We can't let a team get up 14, 20, 17 points because the offensive production, he's still a young quarterback. Now he's a freshman. He's a true freshman. He's not a redshirt freshman. Like the first backup, whose names is just slipping me right now. But he's a true freshman. So the defense is gonna have to play good. And then the last thing, the last big point that I gotta make, the coaches, they cannot veer away from the run game. Regardless, even if a team is loading the box, which I think Valley's gonna do, and I know BCU's gonna do it. I know Bethune's gonna do it. Even if they load the box, we're going to have to stick to our run game because our offensive lineman and our running back room is too talented. It's just like Novocaine. Give it a little bit of time. It's going to work. Them boys will find some seams. And a true freshman quarterback best friend is a running back. So I think if we play solid defense, allow him to get comfortable in the offense and be efficient at the run game, I feel pretty good about winning the SWAC. Now, the Black Natty, it's hard to repeat. It's just hard to repeat, and I don't want to put too much dip on our chip just yet. Let's get to the SWAC championship first. Let's finish out strong there, and then we'll see how it go from there. Let me know what y'all think, fellas.
Well, I think you now. The caller has put up some great points. I think that so this is what have been my criticism of TC for probably the past 2 years. When he has a dominant running game, he still has chosen to tinker and dabble in the passing game. I'm a guy that favors the running game. So if you got it clicking, there's no reason to drop back and pass it or anything, in my opinion. And TC has always been someone as a coach that's willing to call those running plays no matter how well the running game is working. So with that being said, Mr. Campbell, we got another call. Do you have anything? Let me go to
I just want to say, hey, man, that was a beautiful call. It was a very intelligent call. It was a well-thought-out call. That's what we're going to be doing tonight, man. The one thing I will say about this, man, in this show, hey, man, we got a lot of smart people that know football. So that's what we want you to call in. We ain't go over here talking about nobody mama and all that crazy stuff. We over here talking about football, you know what I'm saying, and what's going to happen. But I will say this, though, Rock, and we got my nephew in here, Lionel. But I'm going to say this. Here's the thing. What's going to be interesting, if it works out the way it is, Prairie View coming to Jackson State, you got to understand you do have a championship coach in Tremaine Jackson. And he understands in those moments what would need to be done to win the game. And the thing about it is, even though they lost to Alabama State, they do have a defense. And defense travel. So in the game, like he said, hey, we did 4 turnovers. That's why Prairie View lost that game. The 4 turnovers lost them that game, to be honest with you. So that's the team that will be sitting, lurking in the wings with a great coach. They're not going to be our coach because the coach, Tremaine Jackson, outstanding coach, TC. So the coaching battle is going to be even. Nobody's going to say this much or that much, right, on that end. But the problem is again, where I think Jackson State can be explosive, even with a freshman, and by that time has played multiple games where they can go get a big play from Savage. They can go get a big play from Remember. They can get a big play from Armand Miller, go 65 yards at Davenport. Those are things that I want to see. Prairie View, that's what they're going to have to do. They can't allow that. And again, once again, the blueprint was Grambling in Las Vegas. They did not allow those big shocking all plays of Jackson State just going crazy. So that's the thing about it.
All right, caller with the last 40527. You're live on HBCU Coaches Corner.
All right, what's up, guys? Thanks for taking my call. Hey, this is Fan, you KJ. Man, I was just watching your show here, and I saw where the question was, can JSU repeat as SWAC and national champions? Let me just say this much, man. I'm going to say this, and I want to say this not as a hater to JSU or whatever, but I'm a former ball player fan. I'm going to hope that that's not the case, because what that does, man, it continues to show how far off the SWAC and HBCU football has fallen, man. When you look at, like I say, now it's one thing to be, say, a backup quarterback, like say the second year red shirt freshman, but a true freshman can come in and like I say, just pretty much hand the ball off and make a little play here and there to win. That just shows you really how far off the HBCU football is really. When we were playing, man, there's no way in it. If your quarterback, the normal when we were playing, we had two good quarterbacks, right? But if you can go now in the same way, and it just shows, man, how embarrassing the loss was last Saturday for FAMU, with just a guy handing the ball off pretty much. And pretty much TC was just actually experimenting. I know sometimes I heard my man Campbell was saying that was some of the best football that FAMU has played defensively. And I'm going to respectfully disagree. He was actually just experimenting to see what his quarterback can do, because he always knew that I can hand the ball off and win the game. Let me see what my quarterback can do. It was almost like a scrimmage. And you saw where he just said, okay, that's enough playing around. It's 10-3. I'm going to go ahead on and hand the ball off, and we go roll up 400 yards of rushing or whatever. So it just shows, man, just how far and how bad, and then what we're starting to see again, what's happening with NIL. You're starting to deplete talent so much that maybe 1, 2, 3 teams pretty much may have some decent talent, and then everything else is just mediocre in how you're playing, man. So, again, respectfully, if Jackson State does it, kudos to them. But as a whole, for HBCU football, I hope that doesn't happen, because we're already not taken seriously as a conference. Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, yeah. We're already not taken seriously as a conference by other conferences in FCS and FBS. But we gotta be able to start, man, making sure that we can have top talent and top talented teams to be able to compete. Even up to 3 years ago, when we had Willie and Dion and even Alabama, you couldn't have a quarterback go down and then kind of say, "Hey, we go still run it." That wouldn't happen. So I just hope that just doesn't happen like that, man.
Hey, man, I appreciate you calling in, Fam KJ. Hey, I want to say this, though, because a true freshman winning the SWAC championship has happened since I've been watching the SWAC. You know, there was a guy by the name of Shador Sanders who came in here as a true freshman and was able to win a SWAC championship with a great defense, right?
But he didn't win a national championship.
Well,
he didn't win a national championship.
Okay, I got you.
Right.
But he did win it. He did win it nonetheless. And so my point is simply saying this. It's simply this: is that freshmen can be successful and have been successful in the SWAC in recent history. Mr. Campbell, what do you say to that?
Well, I'm gonna say that, and somebody stole my thunder. Hey, man, listen. North Carolina A&T, and they went on a run. They won 4 Celebration Bowl championships and beat all comers, and they had multiple quarterbacks, and we survived that. We've seen dominant. Look, Grambling has had dominant runs. Jackson State has had dominant runs. FAMU has had dominant run. This happens in college football on all levels. Now, what I will say to FAMU KJ's point, what I'm disappointed in is what I'm starting to see. And this is a credit. See, this is what I'm saying. You got to give credit. Hey, man, the rule is the rule. We all playing by the same rules. Jackson State playing by the same rules, FAMU, and everybody else. TC Taylor and them identifying talents on this level. That's a credit to them. When Willie was coaching, he was identifying talent. I give Eddie Robinson he's identifying talent. So, man, listen, I'm going to say this again. If Jackson State is building something, you got to do just like what Willie said. They building a bomb, we got to build a bomb. And I was right there with Coach Simmons saying, those guys up there, we got to get better. So this is the same thing here. So can they run away with it? Yeah, if you do not start recruiting better time. But listen, they recruit the same guys that we're recruiting. But they're hitting on them better. They're developing their younger play. That whole offensive line is a bunch of guys that have been there for a second. So that's why I've been trying to tell people, man, when you got to, what is your philosophy? And I talked about this last night. So I don't think it's bad. I think it's good because to me, when you got somebody, the FAMUs, the Jackson States, the A&Ts, and people, that makes everybody, hey, you step your game up or they're going to run over you. Now, me being a FAMUan and the pride that we have, because like I said, people talking about coalition. FAMU ain't part of no coalition. FAMU is one-on-one. So I know how FAMU people think, and I know what the pressure is on Cozy. This is unacceptable to allow, and I can understand this. This is Florida A&M in a year that I'm talking to football players that have coached back played in the 70s. They said they'll never remember we've lost 3 games, 40-point blowouts. We didn't even do that when we were 1-10.
Wow.
Okay. So my thing is, with that being said, I'm not going to say the talent is down. I'm going to say a lot of the talent is not being coached well. And what I'll say, because you can look at Deshaun Jackson, you're going to tell me they're not coaching them boys up? They're coaching them. Those guys are a couple of players away from being really dangerous. And I'm telling you, they could get in a game with anybody because Central's not no joke, bro. They went down to North Carolina and beat them home because they coached those guys to win that game. So that's my thing. This is about coaching. So, but what I'm telling people with Lockhart and what I've seen, and that's why I keep using Shannon Boyd, I saw that Jackson State team, but they already had talent. And they were just adding piece by piece by piece, and everybody else didn't do it. And Jackson State went on that run and didn't lose a conference game. This thing is setting up like that. So what I will say is, we'll see what happens with coaching and things around the SWAC, because I'm going to say Tremaine Jackson's going to have something to say. He's going to be able to recruit players down there in Prairie View. They are going to be, I think they're going to be amazing next year if they figure out what's going on with their quarterback. We'll see what happens with Alabama State. We'll see what happens with FAMU. So, again, things come. And I'll say this again. Jackson State did lose to Grambling. They did lose to them. Alabama State played them for 60 minutes of football to the 1-yard line. So for 60 minutes and 99 yards, it was potential Alabama State could have won that game. So again, you can get players. There are other players that are playmakers that can come to our schools.
I'm gonna say something right after this, but I want to go ahead and handle this bit of business. Hey, I want to thank everybody who is watching HBCU Coaches Corner on the Offscript channel. We thank you very much for tuning in to the program on there. We're going to suspend the stream there, but hey, just like always, you can catch it on the Rocky Miller channel, the official home of the HBCU Coaches Corner. Hit me with some ones, and then I'll go ahead and suspend it on off-script once you have it switched over. I have something I want to say, though, about where I believe Jackson State has an advantage in the marketplace, Mr. Campbell, in this regard. They are the premier HBCU brand in HBCU football. And so when a guy like Quincy and a guy like Rimbert want to play on the big stage, guys who are, in Rimbert's case, a proven commodity, somebody who is an all-conference player and who wants to be part of the HBCU experience. The bottom line is he goes to a blue blood, top-tier brand. He makes that jump, and he goes there and has tremendous success. The success that Quincy and Rimbert is having, I wouldn't be surprised if we find guys that are now on Jackson State on FAMU's roster that end up at Jackson State, guys on TSU's roster that are on TSU's roster now, they end up in Jackson State, and rosters all over HBCU football. Because at the end of the day, if you want to play big-time football week after week and you want to play for championships, there's only one place to play in recent history, and that's JSU. What do you say to that as somebody who supports the Rattlers? Are you guys ready to compete on that level for players?
Well, let me say this, and I'll agree with you. And I think, once again, for all us old heads, I've seen Jack State look like this. I grew up with it looking like this, but I also went to Florida A&M, and I know what Florida A&M looks like, because they are still